over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Wednesday show of the Paranormal Portal. This is our full-length show, so none of the quickies for you tonight. So, welcome to the show, and tonight we're going to be discussing haunted hotels. And it's a phenomenal phenomena that it always perplexes me, but it just implies that spirits love to hang out in hotels, and several hotels have their own legends that seem real similar right across the map. And we're going to get into that and so much more on tonight's show, so hang on because we're going in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live and unscripted on this Wednesday, the 21st of November. And before I go any further, I would love to wish my beautiful wife a happy anniversary. I love you, baby, and thanks for putting up with me for all this time.
Oh, sweet.
It's not an easy thing, and you're my hero because you still love me anyway, even though you've seen all my downsides and all my creases and folds, and yeah, you still love me. So happy anniversary, darling. I love you, and thank you so much for putting up with me for all this time. And as long as we're talking about wonderful relationships, I'd like to welcome my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard, to the show. How you doing?
Hola, Beanos.
Hello.
How you doing?
How you doing, governor?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Because Don said in chat that he's loiking. He was the first to loik, L-O-I-K.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, isn't he?
Don's so worldly. You're so worldly. I don't know. That's pretty awesome. But thanks for being here tonight, brother. It's kind of nice to have you back in the co-pilot seat.
You know, I like being here. I do.
I know.
I love being here with you guys.
Well, we love having you here, too. So whenever you can make it, it's always a wonderful thing. But we hope you guys are doing great. And as Pixie pointed out to me earlier, it's Thanksgiving Eve. So happy Thanksgiving Eve, everybody. And I did that. I don't know how, but I did it. My handle on my desk was flipped up, I guess.
Nothing paranormal
Nothing
there.
paranormal there. It was just me bumping something. And I just shut up. But anyway, I hope you guys all have a wonderful holiday. I'm not sure. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm throwing around the idea. I'm not committing to doing anything on Thanksgiving. I don't know what it's going to be, if I'm going to be in a turkey coma or not. But if I'm feeling up to it, there may be a bedtime stories from beyond tomorrow night, but there may not be. So if I don't show up, don't be surprised, because I may be far too fat and happy and laying on the couch to move. And I don't know if you want me to come in and burp in the mic for 20 minutes or not, but I sometimes do that anyway, but it's just me. But anyway, welcome to the show. And tonight we're going to talk about haunted hotels. Now, haunted hotels, everybody has a haunted hotel. Everybody knows of a haunted hotel. Every state has one. Every country has one. And what is it about hotels? What is it about hotels that draws spirits to them? And I have a few ideas, but first I want to talk about the legendary stories that every hotel seems to have. And it's one that I'm sure all of you guys have heard of many times over. Here's the first one. The first one is this woman came in and she was in her bridal gown and she checked in for the night, but she was all sad and mournful because her husband left her, or her to-be husband, her fiance, left her standing at the altar, and he took off and blew town. And so she checked in as if she was going to for the honeymoon and ended her life. Every hotel has that story, and I've heard it brought up so many times throughout my research on many TV shows talking about haunted hotels. I don't believe there's that many women that were left standing at the altar that decided to commit suicide. But I'm not saying it didn't happen. I want to put that out there first and foremost. But here's the thing with legends, and they tend to spread, and everybody kind of adopts them as their own.
It becomes
now,
an urban legend.
right, exactly. It's just like an urban legend. Somebody grabs onto that dialogue and decides that that's what's going on in their place too. And oftentimes there's no basis for those when you actually dig down and do the research. Case in point, I grew up in Minnesota on the Mississippi River, and we had in the town nearest to where I grew up, it was called Red Wing, and there was an Eisenhower Bridge there. And it was it used to be an old wooden, the bridges with those corkscrew on both sides going up and going down.
Oh, yeah.
So like you drive around the loop to get to the bridge level, drive over it, drive down the loop, and be on the road level. And they talked about, there's the legendary story of when the divers were going down to put in the footings, they saw a fish as large as sharks and fearfully got out of the water and wouldn't go back in, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, I never had any reason to question that or doubt that because, I grew up hearing that. However, as I've moved around the country and as I've heard so many other different legends and lores, that story is repeated so many places around the country of these legendary divers who went down and were absolutely shocked and terrified by these huge fish they saw and were scared out of the water and wouldn't go back in. Now, I think the jilted bride thing is probably the same thing. That, perhaps there, people did see big fish. Perhaps there was a scorned bride who ended her life somewhere, and maybe a few times, but I don't think they're all as common as what people claim. Not so many of them. But the other legendary story that seems to repeat through hotels is the child. There's a child spirit. There was a terrible accident. Sometimes it's, the child was playing in the hall and got, stuck weird in an elevator. Sometimes they fell down the stairs. And, could those are probably more likely, to be honest with you, that children somehow got hurt and their spirits could be lingering. But I don't know. Now, what is it about hotels that seem to hold these hauntings? And I think personally what it is, well, first of all, Don, what do you think of those legendary stories that I just mentioned?
You're right. Everywhere you go, everybody's got some kind of a story about, the giant alligators in the sewer, and the,
yeah.
there's a storm tunnel over here, storm drain tunnel over here that, there's some kind of a rake kind of creature living in there.
Mm-hmm.
Even the catacombs in France, there's legends and they just, and they just spread and spread and spread. Mm-hmm. And, I think it's hard to, it's really hard to look at those and be serious about a lot of them mm-hmm. because they're just so widespread, like you said.
Right.
And, it's just really, they're incredible. They're it's hard to believe that each one has its own true story.
Right. So. Exactly. So, and that's kind of what I'm thinking too now. I don't pretend to know which ones are accurate and which ones aren't, but it's just funny that those themes continue to repeat because I think they make for great stories, Right. It makes for a great story about, the jilted bride or whatever, or the child.
Yeah, but it's the kids. The kids just grab onto those stories and they just perpetuate.
Yeah.
And they just get bigger and they get embellished and they just keep going and blah, 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 blah. And so, it really becomes, a question. I heard once back in this town. It's like,
Well, the other one that you hear a lot is anytime any major concrete goes on.
Yeah.
Oh, of how the workers.
5 dead bodies.
There's 5 workers' bodies in that concrete, and et cetera, et cetera. It's these legendary stories. I don't know. There might be some truth that a worker fell in concrete somewhere and got stuck, and it was probably cheaper to just leave him there. I don't know. You never know.
Cheaper to leave them there.
Well, we'd have to take down that whole wall.
It'd be hell to fish them out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not just, it's like always after it's dried, it's like, well, let's just leave it. Let's just leave it. Not that it would create a huge structural integrity issue for the whole structure.
Oh,
but
we're only taking out 5 square feet.
yeah, we're only taking out 15 stories to get to that body, but
Hoover Dam.
And another case in point was the grain elevator in the town that I grew up. That was the local story of the body being in the concrete, the legendary body that was an accident during construction, where a man disappeared and they figured out that he fell into the pour, and they never could get him out, allegedly. So,
right.
I don't know. Those are the stories, but we are going to talk about haunted hotels, and we are going to talk about some encounters that people have had and go over that. Don's going to talk about some of the more famous haunted hotels around the nation and give us
the Stanley.
Not the Stanley?
No, why? Everybody knows the story.
Oh, I know, but how can you talk about haunted hotels and not the Stanley?
Classic on you.
We got to talk about Johnny.
Johnny.
Yeah. And, of course, that's
Johnny.
The legendary Shining, Stephen King's Shining.
The Shining.
He apparently, legendarily, stayed in a room in the Stanley Hotel as he was writing that, or it inspired that anyway.
Right, right.
So, did he experience something? I don't know. But hotels seem to be fantastic gravitational spots for spirits, much like hospitals and much like prisons, much like many, many places like that. And what it is, I think, is that if indeed spirits are stuck in this state, they probably want to be somewhere where something's happening. At least some of them do. You can either stare at the basement wall, or you could go somewhere and watch people as they experience their lives. And I know I would be at a hotel. I would be somewhere like that and just watching people, checking out what they're doing.
Ooh.
I mean, wouldn't you?
What's that noise going on in that room?
Why is that headboard banging? Oh, no, I'm not talking about being a voyeur, Don. I'm just talking about being around that life energy.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
That's life.
No,
that's living.
No. Moving on. It's a family show, Don. But, talking about watching people as they experience things, watch them in their lives, children playing, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. That would be me. Or I would haunt like a park. Like I would probably try to get to Disney, honestly. Just go hang out in Disney and watch people, do the Disney thing, because everybody's supposed to be happy there. So just saying.
Doc says, I'd definitely park my ghost at Walmart.
Walmart? Oh, my God. Doc, nobody's happy there. You ever go there? I will say, I at the local Walmart here, I was just there the other day, just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and the manager there was so cool. He was just a really nice guy, smiling, and actually had customer service. And I was like, wow, that is really cool, because that's not something I've experienced a bunch at Walmart. And no disparaging statement to Walmart. I'm not one of those people that boycotts Walmart. I think I will go wherever I can make my money last the longest.
Sure.
But I just think that sometimes Walmarts are full of a lot of people that don't like being there in their job. They just don't seem to be real happy, and I don't know. And then again, that's anywhere you go. I mean, really, there's people that are happy doing their job, and there's people that aren't happy doing their job. But I did like the experience that I had at our local Walmart, talking to that guy, and he was so helpful, and it was really cool. So my hat's off to him. Figuratively, you're not going to see my scalp today, because
he's having a horrible day.
It's a hornet's nest under there. That's all I'm going to say. My hair was done by pillow. So anyway, let's get into the stories tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see what we can uncover with this and discuss. And Don, you let me know when you want to get into those historical or the lists of some of the haunted hotels.
Sure,
but I'm going to get into a few of these, and we'll see what I can find. I got to get down the list here.
Diana says, I'm a horrible person. I do self-checkout, so I don't have to deal with unhappy cashiers.
Now, Diana, that's a great point.
It's not a bad idea.
Honestly, I've never seen slower cashiers than at Walmart. And, the funny thing is that they have like 50 checkout lines, and like 3 of them are open at any time. And there will be just an ocean of people trying to get through all three of them. And it's like, you ever watch that movie, Animal, whatever it was called, where there's like the world was as if animals were running everything.
Oh, right.
And in the DMV, there was the sloths.
Oh, yeah. Zootopia.
Zootopia, that's
awesome.
the one. It's the sloth. and I thought, too bad they didn't show Walmart on there, because I'm sure the sloths were working there too. Sorry, that's just me.
or a bunch of donkeys. This job sucks.
All right, but anyway, I'm not disparaging Walmart. I think the store is fine. I don't like going anywhere, so if I got to go somewhere, I like to get what I need and get home. But that's just me. I'm a bit agoraphobic that way. So
I just don't like people. I'm misanthropic.
Oh, I thought you were saying you were lycanthropic because of your beard.
No, I'm a beanothropic.
The moon's out and his beard is growing.
Stop, you'll start a howl.
Yeah. All right. The first one has to do with the Lemp Mansion, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, the Lemp Mansion is, I don't know if it's necessarily, it might be a hotel now. I guess it is. But it was the location of a lot of tragedies. And, of course, many of the famous ghost shows on TV, like Ghost Adventures and several others, have been there and done investigations. And it seems like it's a place that's been surrounded by a whole lot of tragedy. But we're going to get into what these people experienced there. So it says, I spent a really memorable night at the Lemp Mansion with my cousin, and it was memorable for me because of the activity that we experienced. It was memorable for my cousin because it firmly cemented in her mind that she would never go back. We stayed in the Charles Lemp suite, and Charles was the last of the Lemp family to take his own life in the mansion. Stories have gone around that he went downstairs and shot his dog and then returned to his bedroom to shoot himself. This isn't true. He shot himself in the morning on his bed, and he was the only member of the Lemp family to leave a note, and the fourth of the family to commit suicide. 3 in the mansion and a sister in her home in another St. Louis neighborhood. Charles stated that when found, blame no one but me. He left word that his last remaining brother, Edwin, was to have his body taken immediately without any further preparation and have it cremated, and to bury the ashes on his farm in St. Louis County. The burial spot of Charles Lemp's ashes will never be known. After the death of Edwin, all Lemp papers were burned along with valuable artwork and other items as requested by Edwin of his groundskeeper. The night we stayed in Charles' suite, there was a party on the outside gazebo that lasted until about midnight, and all the other suites were occupied for the night, so any investigation we might be able to do was absolutely limited. We did wander about the house and took some photos, and we did some EVP work and took some video, and there was nothing remarkable until at around 1 a.m. we decided to call it a night. I set up my video camcorder, which is not equipped with night vision, on a small table at the entrance of the room, pointing it towards the corner where there was a little light coming in through the window from outside. The guest table was set up in this corner, and it included a coffee maker, muffins, and an ice bucket filled with ice, wine, and orange juice. Excuse me.
Mimosas.
I guess so, yeah. My reason for setting up the camera was to use it to record audio, as my tape recorder would make a rather loud click when the tape finished. And the camcorder would simply shut down after 2 hours. I did not expect any video to be useful. I was sleeping peacefully for about an hour, but woke up when my cousin began to move around. She was not in the room and finding it difficult to sleep, or it was hot. She was hot in the room and was finding it difficult to sleep. We spoke for a few seconds and I drifted back off, but not for long. Almost immediately, I was totally awakened by the sound of the ice in our ice bucket being literally tossed into the sink of the room. It was really loud, and I asked my cousin, "What was that?" And she replied, "I think it was the ice." We both could see the bucket sitting on the table and knew it hadn't moved, but There was no mistaking the sound we heard. After a while, I was able to sleep again, though I don't believe my cousin ever did. When I reviewed the 2 hours of video tape the next day, I noticed that the little light that came in through the drapes began to distort after a while. The camcorder self-focuses, and I assumed it was trying to do just that, and generally it began to get more and more distorted, and I continued to watch it and reached a point where the tape, where Cindy and I awoke just before the sound of the ice. There it was on the tape, the recording of the ice being thrown into the sink. I was delighted to have caught it on tape. It was loud and sounded exactly as it had the night before. I recorded a copy of the portion of the tape and onto a DVD to keep it safe, and it was a very exciting night and a very good catch for me. I since returned to the lamp and spent an hour closed up in the Charles room alone, attempting to record EVPs through asking questions, but did not get any response. I won't give up. I continue to visit Lamp and will continue to try to contact Charles Lamp every chance I get. I recommend anyone who can visit this top haunted American site to go. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty profound. Let me just see. There's a little more on this. It's talking about that they hadn't uploaded the video. So, all right. No, that's about it for that story. But still, again, the Lemp Mansion. It seems to be a hopping haunted place. I don't know. What do you think of that, Don?
It's interesting. You know, it's just fun it's fun to read and read and see these stories and you know, just imagine what would you do if you were there. You know, how much cleaning would you have to have? Do you have to tip extra for that?
Yeah, that's,
you know?
it's part of the entertainment package, I think. But
doubt, yeah.
you know, the thing is that I think what I would have done though is gotten up and looked in the sink, because if ice was hitting the sink, it should still be in there for a while until it melts. So
right. Well, and you would imagine it'd be even colder actually, because you know spirits draw energy from the heat around them, and maybe it'd be dry ice by the time they get there. It'd be.
I'm not sure that's how it works, Don.
But fog coming out of the sink. You're like, oh.
Reminds me of that punch bowl in school.
That one
Halloween.
time at this dance.
I think dry ice is really cool.
I love dry ice.
I would love to get some setup that would be like wafting down behind us here. That'd be kind of cool.
That would actually be pretty easy.
There you go, Don. I guess we found a studio project for Don.
It's not going to be hard.
Where do you get dry ice, though?
Actually, skip the dry ice. You can go with a non-toxic smoke machine.
Oh yeah, I suppose a little fogger.
And you can get those cheaper. You can get them cheap in
probably cheap right now after Halloween.
Well, yeah, for all. Yeah. But dry ice, you could usually get it at like a welding supply store. We've got a couple around here.
Okay.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool effect, I think. Isn't it just CO2 that's like a CO2 gas?
It's a solid state of CO2.
Right. That's what I thought. Okay.
Solid state.
Well, there you have, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the first one. Now, the next one, of course, is, and this, I don't know that it's a hotel, but it is a really well-known place, and it's discussing the Winchester Mansion. And this is just a tour of the Winchester Mansion. So I took a behind-the-scenes tour, which brought us into the basement of the Winchester Mansion last March. And this story was from 2007, so 2006. I was with a group of 10 or so people in the room, and there was where the coal bin was, and I was in the back of the group, standing and just listening to the tour guide. I had my backpack on and my hands on my hips, and during the talk, I felt two ice-cold fingers tapping me on the arm and what felt like a nudging on my backpack. Strong yet polite and assertive nudging on my backpack, almost to the point of moving me forward. It would have been like somebody was a little annoyed with me that I was in the way and wanted me to move. I looked back and saw nothing. I remember rubbing my arm where the tapping was to warm the area, And then I stood back in the same position again. Well, it happened again. To me, not quite in the same place, but even stronger. Immediately, I thought that this had to be something of a spirit or so, and I moved to another spot. After the tour was done, I told the tour guide about my experience, and she told me that there were other guides that experienced what looked like an unclear grayish, smoky apparition. And that might not be the right word, or sighting of a gentleman wearing work clothes in the same area. This is the truth, and I would appreciate it if others would come forward with their experiences. Well, I've not been there, so I have no experience to share. But yeah, maybe it was just trying to get a better view of the tour himself. I don't know.
Sit down in front.
Come through.
Pardon me, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly.
You give him the front or the back as you pass by.
Right. Exactly. Now this is another Winchester experience. So let's see what this one is.
He was trying to go to work. Yeah, well, of course he was.
Yeah.
Even ghosts have things to do.
Yeah.
Apparently
right?
not clean up is not one of them.
I know. If they could train him to drag a vacuum, that'd be awesome.
Go ahead and mop that floor. I'm okay with that.
Who needs a Roomba?
It's a lot quieter. Yeah, a Roomba. The ghost can summon
the demons.
the demon on the Ouija board floor.
Yeah, that was great. That was from Gentry. Coda sent that to us, and thank you for that. That was hilarious. I was howling. And it was actually another listener sent it to me before the meme happened. It was just the photograph of the floor.
Right.
And she linked me to it, and I thought that was really cool. And I almost got the name. I'm terrible with names, and I always forget names. I'll think of it. But it was really cool, and we had a discussion about it. But then that one
you
came
even
about
had a
the
discussion
Roomba.
about it, and you can't remember the person you were discussing with.
The funny thing is I'm more visual, and I can visualize their profile picture, but I can't remember the name.
Right.
It's just the way I work.
Yeah, I guess I'm the opposite way because.
You can't remember faces?
No, no. You know what? I remember everything.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't.
Well, it's because I worked in hotels.
Just ask my wife.
Yeah. Well, he remembered it's the anniversary.
Yeah, I did remember that. I'm not in the doghouse, as far as I know. But the night is still young.
But working in hotels, if somebody says something to me, I had to know who they were, what room they were in. You know, and I have to know. I was so good that I would see their car pull in, and I'd already have their paperwork pulled for when they walked in the door.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
So it easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm talking in the chat room and stuff, if something catches my eye or something, I'll generally remember who said it because I'll remember a context to it. So
mm-hmm.
I'm just good.
Speaking of the chat, how many are in there right now? 28. I see 28.
I see 29 and only 14 likes.
No, I see Deb's in there, Diana, Renee, yep. Pat, Kurt is in there. I just like to do shout outs.
Oh yeah. Pat's there.
Lena.
Claire's here. Hey Claire.
Lichty.
Let's see. Deb, Lady Death, of course.
Oh,
Renee. MCAT, Kurt.
MCAT.
Who else? Yeah. Oh, by the way, he said yes.
Oh, cool.
He said yes.
He said yes, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
That's an awesome.
Hi, Lena, Countess, other folks in there. Silex.
I think. No.
What?
No,
you think
no.
it was, Countess or
maybe it was her Facebook page.
Well,
maybe.
Pixie's deleting messages again.
Pixie. She's like the Hagrid of our chat room. I should not have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, she fits right into the staff, doesn't she?
I should not have said that. You remember in Harry Potter when Hagrid's always dropping things he shouldn't. I should not have said that.
He was drinking that night too.
I hope she's laughing. Oh, funny. I'm looking for the images. Here we go.
Yes, she's laughing.
Oh, good. No offense, Pixie. I'm sure you look nothing like Hagrid, but it's just funny. All right. Where is it? I wanted to show you guys this because it was pretty cool. And this is our own.
Yes, this is our friend.
our own, let me pull it up on screen.
Bum, bum, bum.
This is our own Mr. MCAT sporting his new Paranormal Portal t-shirt.
Woo-hoo!
Look at that man.
Look at
He's making
Dang.
he's sexying that up is all I got to say.
Yep.
Nice job, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
That looks really good too.
Yeah, you can tell he's not using an iPhone too.
Don's giving you a tech review, MCAT. I'm just appreciating the shirt.
No, that's the good one too. It's got the full cutout in it.
It does. Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah. Nice job. Thank you so much, MCAT. That really helps, and we appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, you can get one of those of your very own if you go to paranormalportalradio.com. That is our T-shirt in living color.
Yep.
And the handsome MCAT
Woohoo!
showing it off. Thank you, sir. You are now our model.
There you go.
We'll get the runway all set up for you.
Can you see him? Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It really helps a lot. You are our hero. And that is cool. Thank you for letting us share it too, brother. I really appreciate that. You just have no idea. All right. So
Sweet.
Continuing on. All right. I never did read this yet, did I? Okay. Then the other Winchester one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm... Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh,
Okay, thanks. All right, I'm 15 years old currently. When I visited the Winchester house, it was a year ago, and I was 14. Good math. It was summer of last year, and my family had taken a trip out to see my aunt for the July 4th, like we always do, and it was our second to last day. And we'd be driving back home, and my mother and I wanted desperately to go visit the Winchester house one more time. The last time I visited, I was very young, but I do remember a fair bit about it, but it brought back sad memories of my father being with me for the last time I was there. He moved away to Kansas and remarried. Oh, that's so hard on kids. Ugh.
Yeah.
We took my younger sister as well, and we started the tour. The moment I entered the house, I felt an overwhelming presence weighing my body down. In the treasure room, I forgot what it's called, I could hardly breathe. I could swear I felt somebody trying to push me down and pull me through the floor.
Wow.
The calmest room in the house had to be Mrs. Winchester's deathbed, which was odd, and I was relieved to have some of that pressure off of me. It was intense, and I can almost still feel the constriction on my throat as I staggered through the mile-long house. It could almost seem busy with servants as I walked through the house, as if I were back in that time. They didn't seem to dislike my presence, but still seemed menacing and authoritative. I walked into the gift shop, and while my mother and sister were shopping, I looked out the window, and I swear, with my mind's eye, that I could see them walking through the garden. It's really hard to explain. With my naked eye, I could see nothing, but when I just glimpsed, I could see them briskly walking through the flowers and trimming the trees. That's my experience in the Winchester house, and I know it isn't as exciting as so many others, but I've tried to let you see it how I saw it and feel that same experience. If you're ever out in California, then the Winchester house is a wonderful place to stop. It is something that I think it would be really cool to check out and see. I would love to see so many of these places. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that house, and I don't buy into the whole legendary, she felt cursed because, or she was told she was cursed because she had some kind of responsibility due to the fact that was her name and her husband's company that made the rifles and the ammunition.
Right.
And I don't believe in that. I think that's bunk. If somebody murdered other people with hammers, then does the manufacturer of the hammers have some kind of karmic
to it,
karmic
liability,
karmic debt to pay? Yeah.
Sure.
And I don't agree with that. I think that anything of this world is just of this world. How it's used it's up to the individual, and so therefore is the karmic debt or weight of it. So I don't get into that hokey pokey or
well, that's like you said the other
weirdness.
day. That's like you said the other day. It's
what did I say the other day?
Hold on a sec.
He remembers everything.
Shut up.
Get back to us on that.
Well,
Tom.
that's like you were saying, you know, just because. Oh Jesus! Yeah, I'll come back to it. For some reason, I just can't think.
I so miss him when he's not here.
It went right through.
Oh well, just plug one of the ears and see if that helps.
Well, how about I do this?
All right.
Okay. Anyhow, sorry,
So-
I digress.
This list doesn't seem to be all haunted hotels, but I found one here, and I guess some of it is haunted tours as well, which is fine. I mean, this is the Paranormal Portal. As long as it's paranormal, we'll talk about it. This one has to do with the Buxton Inn, Buxton, and it's, let's see. So this is Ohio, I guess. Yeah, okay. It's all right. Here we go. I just returned from a trip to Ohio to visit relatives, and one of our day trips was to Granville, Ohio, where we lunched and walked around and visited the Buxton Inn, which is supposed to be haunted. We were a large group of about 10, and we were all looking forward to seeing the inn. When we walked in, we went all our separate ways to explore the many rooms, and the inn was busy with visitors and people having lunch. And I walked around the gift shop and the dining rooms and then decided to go downstairs to the tavern. I walked down the steep set of stairs, which led to the middle of the tavern, and I was the only person down there. And I stood at the bottom of the stairs, taking in the empty room and all of the history around me, and I imagined all the people who must have had a drink there throughout the years. Then all of a sudden, I felt extremely nauseous and faint. My heart was pounding, and I broke out into a cold sweat. I climbed the stairs and sat down on the bench in the entryway, and within a few minutes, I felt absolutely fine. I turned to my husband and told him that I thought I had just had a paranormal experience. I can't explain what happened to me. I wasn't sick from lunch. I wasn't feeling anxious or afraid. And I remember walking through the front door of the inn and just feeling open to whatever was there. This feeling that I experienced just swept over me and was gone as fast as it came. My question is, has anyone had an experience like this one? Is it paranormal? Is it a ghost passing through me? I think it's probably really important to mention this here, but if you're ever going to go on a haunted tour or check out any haunted location, protect yourself. Don't just be open to whatever you might feel. Because if you know you're going to a haunted location, then you should realize that you do risk an attachment. But if you make sure to observe careful practices, you can, push that energy away. Don't let it attach to you. But just walking in and being open, like, I wonder what I'll feel, and then suddenly, something's grabbing and putting its hooks into you, going, hey, I got a ride, just be careful, because haunted locations, of course, they're known as haunted locations because they have
Attachments,
ghosts, and you don't know what else. So be careful. That's all I'm going to say. I know I'm preaching to the choir here because none of you guys is uninformed, if only by virtue of watching the portal, but most of you are absolutely well-versed in so many aspects of the paranormal.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I think it's my duty to at least put out the disclaimers. That and the Paranormal Portal assumes no liability to any ghost touring that leads to attachment, possession, or other harm.
We just have no liability, period.
Listen at your own risk.
There you go.
So, I don't know. It's a cool experience, but I'm sure what this person felt was perhaps an impression, in time. I'm not sure the history of the Buxton Inn or any specific occurrence or presence that would have felt that way.
Right.
I just don't know anything about it, but I imagine that they maybe just felt an energy surge of that, and it was just more than they were ready to handle. There's lots of energies out there.
Okay.
Okay, what? Did you ever remember what you were going to refer to that I said before?
Yeah, it was basically just simply stating that, an object is an object. It's inherently not
right.
good or evil. It's
Yeah.
just like you said the other night. And the object cannot be responsible for the way somebody uses it. And that's just going back to the Winchester thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it really bothers me that there's such a belief that people just have this karmic debt for.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, could you imagine the load that some people would have to carry because of the stupidity of other people? And then you think of wars and stuff. I mean,
Right.
I don't know, but I think people are just in charge of their own karma, and whatever you use
Right.
doesn't somehow implicate somebody else to pay part of that debt.
So
That just wouldn't be fair.
the Buxton Inn.
Yeah.
Over the last 200 years, many people have visited, eaten a meal, and stayed overnight at the Buxton Inn. Some people have been more notable, like Harriet Beecher Stowe, Yo-Yo Ma, and yes, even President Abraham Lincoln.
Oh,
So
nice.
there you go. It's got quite a history, apparently.
It does. Honest Abe. Honest Abe. Or so they say.
As honest as possible, I suppose.
He was as honest as he could be.
He's still a politician.
That's right, yeah. Those two don't belong in the same reference as far as I know. All right, let's see what else we can find here. Sorry. Any of the other historical ones you want to mention right now, Don?
Oh, well, I'm just looking right here at the the Stanley Inn.
Oh, please. Yeah.
Okay, well, the hotel has a long storied history. Tuberculosis-stricken Freeland Oscar Stanley relocated to Estes Park from the East Coast in hopes that the fresh air and plentiful sunlight of the Rocky Mountains would cure his illness. Stanley, co-founder of the famed Stanley Motor Carriage Company, and his wife Flora fell in love with Estes Park's mountain scenery, but Stanley thought the town lacked upscale amenities and resolved to construct a luxury hotel. Construction of the Stanley's main building, one of 11 structures in the original complex, began in 1907 using material from land now known as the Rocky Mountain National Park. Most of the lumber is from the Bear Lake wildfire of 1900. The hotel, which welcomed its first patrons in 1909, continues to attract visitors seeking physical and mental benefits of Colorado's splendid high alpine landscapes. And F.O. Stanley's developments continue to influence the prosperity of Estes Park. So there's the history of it.
Cool.
So there you go.
That's really cool. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then, of course, we all know Stephen King and his wife stayed the night in room 217, room 237 in the film. The Stanley's mysterious ambience was touted as inspiration for the Overlook Hotel, the ominous setting of this 1977 best-selling novel. However, Stanley Kubrick's film, based on the book, wasn't filmed at the Stanley, but though it served as the filming location of other productions, including The Shining.
The Shining?
The Shining.
What's The Shining?
Come on, it's a.
I don't know.
It's a. What is that show? You're always Homer. It's a Simpsons reference.
Oh, okay.
It's The Shining. We don't want to cause a copyright infringement.
Oh.
So, well, there you go.
Okay. So it actually was used in the filming of The Shining, though?
It was not.
Okay.
Though it has served as a film of other locations, including. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Because I thought it was. I thought it was actually the visual.
The book wasn't filmed at the Stanley, though.
Well, they don't film books,
It
so.
has served. I'm reading what the dang thing says.
Sorry.
The film based on the book wasn't filmed at the Stanley.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Gracious.
All right.
The Shining miniseries, which was actually really good. Did you see the miniseries? It was like a 3 or 4 part series.
No.
Oh, it was actually really good because it delved into more of the characters.
Oh.
Like the bellhop, and I think there was a houseman also.
I've never read the book, though, so I don't know.
Jeez.
I used to love Stephen King, but I never read all of his more popular ones, like Pet Sematary and The Shining.
Right. Well, those are probably. Well, I tried to read the Langoliers, but for some reason I couldn't get Tracy Lords out of my head.
Okay. All right.
Couldn't get into it. Oh, and The Storm of the Sun. No, Rose Red. Rose Red was the other one.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, that one was kind of creepy.
Okay. All right, so let's continue on here and see what else we can find. Now, this one is just another tour, it looks like, but let me read about this. Because it all is paranormal. Last night, I went on a quarantine station tour, and this is coming from Australia, down in Ken's country.
Ken and Matt.
Ken and Matt, that's right, yeah. I went on a quarantine station tour. It opened in 1830, and our tour guy said it's unlikely that we would have an experience with a ghost there, but I did. I actually had several. We were heading back to the quarantine station's hospital to go have a look inside, and as we were looking inside, I felt a large, painful prick on my leg. Oh, my God. It almost stopped me from walking. I asked the guide what it was, and he said that it was a needle.
Oh, goodness.
My next experience was when we were down there where the ships used to dock, and I was listening to the tour guide when someone tapped me. I turned around, and nobody was there. The tapping started straight away after I turned around, and it was pretty fast tapping, like someone wanted me to get out. And my third one was when our guide was talking about a ghost Chinese man seen on rare occasions, and no one saw him that night, but I did. That was a secret I didn't tell anyone that night, and he had a coolie on top, and he was wearing one of those Chinese gowns, and he had a black ponytail hanging over his shoulder. I almost cried when he pointed to me and then disappeared. I didn't want to tell anyone because I was worried that he would haunt me. My last experience was when we were in the old Coca-Cola. When we were in the old shower room and I heard the shower turn on. I was wondering why no one else was alarmed, and then I knew it wasn't my head because after I heard the shower turn on, the tour guide said that once the showers turned on, when they were not connected. That totally made me believe in ghosts. And now I hope that my house isn't haunted. Well, again, if you're going to tour haunted places, you should probably clear yourself afterwards to make sure that you don't bring one home, because maybe they're sick of hanging out wherever they are,
and they're
looking for a change of scenery, and maybe your house looks like a good time.
Smells like barbecue.
Yeah, Don. Just imagine if animals haunted, Don's house would be a freaking zoo.
Just the basement.
Just the basement. Oh, my God.
Oh, goodness.
So, no, I'm not really clear on what the quarantine station was, but I imagine it sounds like some kind of breakout, some kind of pandemic of some kind.
Yeah, probably.
And so they quarantined people is what it sounds like. Perhaps it was during the plague. I don't know.
1830s. I wonder if that might have...
that could be the plague. I think the plague appeared down there quite a bit later than... I think it was the 1600s in
yeah, it was 1630s
Europe.
in Europe, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it had a resurgence down in Australia quite a bit later. But I don't know. I'm only guessing, of course. But yeah, that's horrible. I don't know. You know, the thing is that I feel things like sharp pains every once in a while, just in different parts of my body that don't seem to make sense, and they just happen and they go away. Now, I don't ever equate those with, spirits, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm missing that. Maybe I should, but I don't know. It just seems, our bodies are these incredibly dynamic and complex things, and, the fact that we get these weird twitches and stuff once in a while, to me, just seems more a function of biology. But I don't know. I could be absolutely missing a whole part of the paranormal.
I just hate to have a little prick on my leg.
I can't even touch that and keep this a family-friendly show. I can't even respond to that, but I want to so badly, Don. You just can't. You can't leave them hang like that. That's the low-hanging fruit. But
I give you lots of chances.
But I can't take those. I don't want to get strikes against our emerging channel. So.
Well, but when you were talking about the quarantine station,
You're not going to lead me into
no,
temptation,
no,
are you?
I may, but
Thou shalt not lead me into temptation.
but I mean, that would make sense, because quarantine, they're doing tests or they're, trying to cure people. And so, yeah, you're going to feel like, maybe even sickness, you might have nausea or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on your empathy level, I suppose. And I bet you if you were an empath that walked through somewhere like that, you'd have a hell of a time depending on your level of,
receptiveness.
Yeah.
And that can vary from day to day, but yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're ever, one of my favorite places to walk through, honest to God, is antique shops.
Oh, I love antique shops.
I just love feeling all those different energies as you're walking through. And I don't know how else to say it, but I just get these weird, strange vibes through the whole thing. And none of it's scary or spooky.
Right.
But it's just these old things that have just a whole bunch of stories in them. And you can kind of feel it.
Smell. I know, and Pixie's probably going, God, I love antique stores too. I think Deb is too, though.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there's Pixie. Yep. Love antique shops.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, but then again, I'm looking more for the historical stuff as opposed to, the feeling, the empathic, energies.
Right, you're right. I'm not looking for items that have attachments. But I mean, I do have that on my radar when I'm walking through there.
Like, ooh, look at that. Oh.
No, I'm not like that. I'm not like that at all. But I'm actually I have gone through there, through antiques places. And actually, even for the show, just looking for things that would be decoratively cool to put, in our backdrop and, try to, add a little more to it, because most of what's up there is just cheapy, little things that I found here and there. But, I just love oddities and things like that. I think they're really cool. And
that's why I'm here.
Well, yeah, you're an old oddity, all right.
Sideshow Dawn.
All right, so let's see what's next here. Let's check out this one. This one sounds kind of cool. All right, this one is from 2007 as well, from South Carolina. Excuse me, South Carolina. I think that's where Deb's from, isn't it? I don't know. I might be. All right, this.
I keep forgetting.
I know. I'm so terrible with that too. I get a lot of dyslexias apparently, a lot more than I realize. But this is an event that took place in Charleston, South Carolina, and it happened to my 6-year-old Jenna, who is a very honest and doesn't make up stories. Hold on, I got a cough.
I almost thought hold on, I got a call.
Oh, no. Yeah, excuse me. I got to take this call, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. No. It said, so Jenna is 6 years old and doesn't make up stories, very honest child. Kara, my 12-year-old daughter, was disappointed because the ghost tours were booked up and some didn't run on Sundays and Mondays. Well, on Monday, we found a place that just opened up to see if we could find her a book on the ghosts of Charleston. This place, Charleston Legends, was only open for about a month. There was a young lady tending to the place and mentioned if we were interested, they had a show every hour that lasted 25 minutes on the ghosts of Charleston. Kara had just had to see this, and so we did. Before we went in and stood there talking with this young lady, and she said she and her husband had been interested in ghosts for about 16 years, but I don't think she's ever seen one. For those who don't know, I've seen one ghost in the late 1970s, but we won't go there right now. Anyway, the lady said that one evening she heard a noise in the back room, and she knew no one else was there, and so she went back in there, and she reminded us that there was no air conditioning ducts back there that could cause a noise or draft. She was looking back the hallway, that's how it's written, and saw one door slowly open. She didn't think much of it and thought it was possibly the air conditioning duct in the front room that caused it to somehow open. Then the door began to close. She said she took off to the front room and forgot about what she had just seen. She said that the lady who places the paper towels out each night in the bathroom said that each morning when she comes in, the towels have moved. It makes you think. Since I witnessed a ghost, I don't doubt either one of these ladies. And I'm still not to the point. I really wanted to share that we went into the room to see the show, and it was a very nice room, fixed up and decorated like an old Charleston home. It had windows, curtains, a fireplace, rocking chair, old furniture, an old desk, some lamps, and other things. And we sat on a bench in the center of the room, and the show started. A young man behind a screen appeared, as other people did, and told their tales, and then vanished into the room as a beam of light. Things in the room moved too. Little Jenna was so afraid that she covered up her head with her arms and would rarely even look. My wife kept nudging me to show me how Jenna was covering up her eyes and wouldn't look, and we sat through about 20 minutes of the show, and then Jenna began to cry. My wife took her from the room as Kara and I stayed for the end of the show. When we got outside, we asked Jenna what scared her so much, and she said, "The little boy." And we said, "What little boy? Where did you see a little boy?" And she said, "Right above her head." Jenna took her hand and showed the little boy was only an arm's reach from her head. She said he kind of looked like a clown, but wasn't a clown. He smiled like a clown, but more of a scary smile than a happy smile. His face was covered with blood, some smeared and some running, and this was not seen by us and was not part of the show. She said the little boy was about 7 years old with short brown hair, and she could see his body because he was leaning out over her from behind, and his face was looking at her upside down in front of her. Oh, that's creepy.
Wow.
Actually, between her and Kara, she said she saw the little boy for about 8 seconds and then covered up her eyes, and when she looked up again, the boy was gone. This is when she began to cry, 20 minutes into the show.
Wow.
She said she felt like hitting him, but he was too frightened. She was too frightened. We asked her if she thought that her mommy and daddy and sister could see the boy, and she said she didn't think that. She actually didn't give it any thought. This was so weird, if a 6-year-old is frightened of the show, she would say she was frightened when the rocking chair moved or the lamp moved, or when she heard a big noise or witnessed something that we saw too. She actually saw something so different, and I believe her. I told her to remember what she saw, and when we got home, I wanted her to draw me a picture. She said, "Daddy, when something bad happens to me, I never forget, and I will always remember it." Wow. She did draw something that looks like a clown face with a big smile and covered in blood. I think she saw a ghost. To those not believing in ghosts, you'll doubt this, and I was never one to believe in ghosts until I actually saw one myself. No doubt now. We spoke with Jen after leaving the store, and we went back to tell the young lady, and she said that she would pass on to others that work there and also speak with someone that knows and studies a lot about the ghosts seen and reported in Charleston to see if a young boy of about 7 years old with a face covered in blood means anything. And this may be a start of many sightings at this place. She said, "Interesting, but Jenna is not one to tell lies or stories, and she was actually frightened by this young boy that we did not see."
Wow.
So yeah, that's creepy.
Ouch.
That is a creepy thing, but I don't know. It's tough because kids do have an active imagination, but again, you can't dismiss that kind of stuff, especially something that's so different from everything they're seeing. Children can, a lot of times see things that we can't.
Right.
So I think I would defer to trusting the child.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
It's like when your dog's staring into Neverland over there.
Yeah.
Like
what's in that corner?
What's he looking at?
Yes, indeed. This is really delicious, but I know it's going to gas me up again.
Doc's telling jokes.
Doc's telling jokes?
Yes.
Ooh.
He says, what does a turkey say when it sees a monster? Goblin, goblin.
Oh.
Oh, God. Stop it, Carl. Carl.
Carl?
Carl?
All right.
Never mind, just go.
All right, just go. I don't know. I can't keep up with it. It's just, now, did you have anything else you wanted to share?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Please, go ahead.
Let me grab my notes here.
Okay.
And let's do this one. Oh no, let's do this one because somebody mentioned another one. So, okay, how about this one? The Pink Lady of the Grove Park Inn. Asheville's Grove Park Inn has a well-deserved reputation as one of North Carolina. By the way, that's where Deb lives, not in South Carolina. She lives in North Carolina.
Sorry, Deb. I'll get that straight sometime.
Opened in 1913, the Grove Park was built by Edwin Wiley Grove. Grove made a fortune selling Grove's tasteless chill tonic through the South. So he was a snake oil salesman. Apparently he made a bundle.
It's just water.
It's not even snake oil, it's just water.
It's tasteless, it's water.
Tasteless in this case was a good thing. It was a malaria preventative. Advertised as effectively disguising the unpleasant bitter taste of the active ingredient, quinine. So it was quinine water. It's called tonic water. Grove's tonic proved enormously popular during the era of malaria.
He was the only one that figured out the tasteless.
Grove came to Asheville on his doctor's advice, as Asheville and the nearby towns were popular health resorts at the time. Grove enjoyed the town so much he decided to stay. This is starting to sound like the Stanley Hotel story, because that's why Stanley went to Estes Park.
They all start to sound like Stanley. I mean, back in those days, people just needed a reason to stay put, and then they ended up building towns around them.
Yeah, basically.
You know,
seeing the healthy tourist business and not being one to pass up an opportunity to make money, Grove and his friend and son-in-law, Thomas Seeley, began construction on the Grove Park Inn. The inn was built to rival the finest hotels in America. Remained in continuous operation. George Gershwin, Harry Houdini, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and even President Obama have stayed at the Grove Park. Known for its elegance and comfort, it has several world-class restaurants and a spa. It's beautiful, relaxing, romantic inn that you would never want to leave, and according to the legend, one guest never did. The Pink Lady is the Grove Park's resident and much-loved phantom. This kindly spirit has been seen and felt in the halls of the inn for nearly 100 years. It's said that it's the spirit of a young woman who fell to her death from a balcony on the 5th floor in the 1920s. She's usually seen in the form of a pink mist and sometimes as a full-fledged apparition of a young woman in a pink ball gown. There are various stories about who the young lady was and how she met her end. Some say that she came to the inn for a clandestine evening with a married lover, and she threw herself from the balcony when he called an end to the affair. Others say she was a young debutante that actually slipped and fell to her death. Whatever her origins, the Pink Lady is agreed to be a good-natured, even kind spirit. She seems to particularly enjoy the company of children, and seems a little more willing to reveal herself to them than to adults. She has been seen by the beds of children who were taken ill during the stay. Okay, so she would go visit the children who were sick while they were staying there, speaking softly to them and gently stroking their hands. In one case, a doctor who had been staying with his family left a note at checkout to thank the lady in the pink ball gown, and that his children told him how much they enjoyed playing with her during their stay. The ghost of the Pink Lady is also said to enjoy playing small pranks. She's been blamed for lights, air conditioners, and other electrical devices turning on and off by themselves. I don't believe that necessarily, but it's a fun idea.
What don't you believe?
Well, we're talking about electronics again.
Yeah.
Here we go again with, just electronics in general. Anything electric has inherent problems, especially when you're talking about, through 100 years, because you've got old wiring in the house, and maybe it wasn't stepped up to the next. There's steps in electricity, but and things weren't overlooked or missed. Maybe an old tube and wire blew on it, and they just had to replace it. Or a failing capacitor that didn't push out enough power at one moment or another. So a lot of reasons why electronics and air conditioners and things that run on electricity may fail or not work correctly.
See, now to me,
like my TV.
And I don't disagree with you. On some places, there are many things that could explain what happened. But the other thing that I think about is that these beings, we assume, or I assume anyway, and I'm sure a lot of people tend to agree, I believe, because of what I've read throughout the ages, but that spirits are energetic in and of themselves. So for them to manipulate something that is also energetic, while it might not be the same type of energy, is that a more natural manipulation for them than, say, moving a coffee cup or something else? Like being able to affect an electron flow may be quite a bit easier than opening a door or something.
Right. Sure.
So there is that as well. But I'm not disagreeing with you, because I think the problem is when people jump on everything being paranormal. When some critical thinking would definitely could explain a lot of things,
right,
and keep it in perspective. But at the same time, so you have on one hand you have the people that want to believe everything's paranormal, and then on the other hand you have people that believe nothing's paranormal. And I think in the middle there is where the truth lies. But anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely fine. She seems to enjoy rearranging objects in the room as well. It's also been said that she'll occasionally wake up a sleeping guest with a good tickle on the feet. Now that would be creepy. While she's been seen all around the inn, the spirit seems particularly attached to room 545. According to tradition, this is where the balcony was that she fell to her death. The inn's employees are used to the presence of the Pink Lady and treat her just as another part of the tradition of the Grand Old Hotel. There you go. So the Grove Park in North Carolina. Bumpa, bumpa, bumpa.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all that. I hope you all are hearing me fine tonight as well. I've really cranked up my preamp on my channel, and I got my level about as high as I can go without getting stupid, fuzzy and stuff from just so much of a boost on it. But many had said that my voice is hard to hear, and I don't know. I think it's better now, and I read the chat from last night's show, and I think that everybody said it was much better. So hopefully that's the case. But if it is, if you're having trouble hearing us, please let us know, because I'm trying to fine tune this as well. But I do want to take a moment and say, on Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, Deb Varner, our own Paranormal Portal psychic, will be joining us.
Deb!
And we'll be doing call-in readings on the show. So, to listeners of the show, so the phone number that you're seeing on the screen right now does not work for calling us until Friday, Saturday night. But Friday, Deb will be doing call-in readings. So please, just be aware. And if you do want a reading, please call in, and not only call in, but hold the line. Because, we'll get to you as soon as we can. And I know it's hard for some people, especially being abroad, to call in and wait on hold. But I just think it's a fantastic show. And then on Saturday, Dan Pruitt, our paranormal investigator, will be on the show as well. And MCAT, I'm hoping you're here that night, because it'd be great if you could call in and be a part of that discussion as well. Having that dialogue with two paranormal investigators would be fantastic. So definitely will love to hear from you, MCAT, that night, because I know you can definitely contribute to the conversation. But those are the upcoming shows, and we got more, of course, coming up after that. And I'm not going over this because we're running.
Now he's throwing things at me like
I'm
ice
not
cubes
throwing them
into a
at
sink.
you, but I'm just making a mess. Thank you for picking that up.
That's all right.
Then, let's see. The other scheduled show that we have on the books right now is Jim Mount, our UFO contactee and researcher, will be joining us again on December 1st. Now, Jessica had emailed me regarding vortices and vortexes, and she's had some really cool experiences, and I do want to talk with you about that, Jessica. So maybe we can do a show on the 30th about vortexes, and so I hope you can be here that night. But if that doesn't work out for you, let me know. I just think that that's a great opportunity to hear what you think and hear what you've experienced and have you on the show.
Too, huh?
It is,
Oh,
and
doggone it.
but Jim will be on the Saturday show, so that's like the first upcoming open schedule night.
Oh, speaking of Jim, he was in the chat room. Jim, are you still in the chat room? Sorry.
Jim, if you're in the chat room,
Give a
click,
shout.
just type yes. That's the equivalent of waving your hand.
Is there a spirit of a man named Jim in the house?
Yeah. Does anybody take the name Jim Mount?
Jane, a Jane and M. A Jane and M.
Yeah. A J name. Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? So a lot of psychics, ladies and gentlemen, will do that. They'll do that word game, and it's like a psychological banter, and to me that's, kind of goofy. Not that they don't actually have some ability to tune in, but it just when it starts out with this, 20 questions.
Yeah, I tune out.
Well, I do too, but but I love the way Deb reads. It's like, what's your name? What do you want to know about? That's it. And then she just goes. It's just really awesome, and it's a lot of fun to hear her work. So
Pixie says, Jim, if you're here, press the any key.
Where's the any key?
Where
is it? I don't know where it is. So Sean wanted me to say that. Sean wanted me to say that. He's like, I want to hear you do Homer say, where's the any key? So I don't know, Sean, if you're here, but I did it with you in mind. So
Glad you did.
I did. But yeah, so those are the upcoming shows, and Jessica, I'd love to hear from you. So we will definitely discuss that possibility on the 30th. God, can you believe it's almost December?
Jeez, I know. Yeah, it's only like 4.5 more Fridays till Christmas.
I know.
God.
Don't even say that. Don't even say that again, ever. You know how much shopping I've done?
About as much as I have.
Let's see. Wonder if my wife will like staples. I've got some.
Does she have a stapler?
Yes, she does. She's got a few of them, actually.
Be careful where you find that.
I know. If I show up on tomorrow's bedtime for stories from beyond with staples out of my forehead, you'll know how that went. Oh my God. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I you know what I'm feeling, Don?
What's that?
I'm feeling the need for a biological break.
Really?
I am.
Oh goodness.
So
this guy here.
You brought me a gallon of Coca-Cola.
He said he called it the happy size.
It is the happy size of Coca-Cola. However, it's also the bladder challenge as it works. So, do you mind if I give us a break quick, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to go use the loo.
A quick break, yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Don't go away. I will play you the ghost break.
3 minutes, the ghost break.
All right.
Oh, the ghost break's awesome.
All right, here you go. Ready?
Right.
Want to hear it?
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me, and their lies keep falling apart. But I'm not just another fucking mask. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that giving me quarter. I appreciate the quarter.
Please, sir, we have we use the restroom.
Quarter will not be asked nor given. No, it was needed. But I'm much better now, so thank you guys, and thank you for sticking with us. And we are going to continue our journey into haunted hotels here on the Paranormal Portal. It's nice to be back for a 2-hour show. I love the bedtime stories from beyond, but I always feel like I don't want to end the show.
Bread and butter.
You know, so it's nice to have these longer format nights where we can get in and just relax and hang out with you guys and talk and visit. So I hope you guys are enjoying it too. But thank you all for the wonderful feedback regarding the bedtime stories from beyond. That's been wonderful, and I'm really thrilled that it's been so well received because, you know, it's a lot of fun. I really like doing them, and it's been a lot of fun to see you guys coming in night after night to take part in those. That's just really humbling. So thank you guys. So the next one we're going to get into, and most of these are not so much haunted hotels. I should probably look for some of them, but in this list, I didn't realize that they were also these tours. So I'm going to read this one, but this is one's talking about the old stone home in Freiburg, Maine. And while living in the state of Maine, my 2 sons and I went up the road to look at an old apple orchard to shoot a deer. Okay, nice opener. Outside the orchard was an old stone home. Across from it was a fallen down old barn. The boys and I walked over to the old barn, and there was some snow on the ground. Not a lot, but as we got directly across from the driveway of the house, we could see the trees out back, and behind the trees was a large pond. Something caught my eye in the side window of the house. It was a large woman in an apron, leaning on the table, and there smiling at us. I told the boys we should go and ask her if it was all right to cut through her yard and go behind into the orchard. And as we walked across the street and knocked on the door, noticing immediately that there was no furniture in the house, I walked around to the side window, and there was an old table there in front of the window, all dusty, with no hand marks, where the woman had been leaning, and also no footprints around the house in the snow. We saw her for quite some time before crossing the dirt road. She was there, but not a real person at all. She was a real ghost, and we later learned that the house was empty because of this woman who had haunted it for many years. The house has been torn down since, and no one could ever live in it. It was in Freiburg, Maine, and there was a very, very haunted house in Bridgeton, Maine, about 8 miles away from this one. The owner offered $100 to anyone who could spend the night in it, and no one ever did while I lived up there. Strange but true.
Crazy.
Wow. So I wonder if that offer's still going on. Because I'm sending MCAT up there.
Let us know when you head to the Northeast again, MCAT.
That's all right, MCAT. We'll give you a live feed to the show. And now let's join MCAT in the haunted house. Hey, guys, I'm in here, and yeah, things are flying.
There goes that ice into that sink again.
Yep, there's that table going by one more time. MCAT's awesome. He's a great guy. He's been a great friend to the show, and a great asset to us as well. We really enjoyed you, MCAT. So you can be our field researcher. You and Dan Pruitt, we can send you out to locations.
There you go. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
Our eye on the street.
That
Coming
would be
direct
awesome.
to you from Dan Pruitt in Seattle.
You know, I missed Dory. I wonder how Dory's doing.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while.
No,
Yeah.
I miss seeing Dory. So I hope she's okay. I hope she's ready to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And
Absolutely.
I'll have to send Dan a message and just say, hey.
Hey, you gonna be at your mom's house?
That's right.
Let's get together.
Let's get together. Absolutely. We got to get together with MCAT when he's
Yeah,
on this neck
one
of
of
the
these
woods.
times, yeah.
One of these times when he's coming through. So, all right, let's see what we got next here. This one is talking about another one. All right, I've always heard that the Beverly Mansion was haunted, but I never actually believed it until I saw it. One night, my friends and I decided to take a trip there, and wow, were we in for a big scare. It was just the four of us going up to this vacant mansion in the middle of nowhere, but it had fresh stones in the driveway and no keep out signs. We parked the truck and hopped out, and as we started walking up the driveway to this old fence, we could hear barking, and it sounded as if dogs were behind us. And I must remind you that nobody lives here. We all got scared and decided to go back, but we saw the truck lights coming up the long drive, and we all jumped in the weeds. But one of my idiot friends jumped back out. The truck stopped, and it was a tiny old man, pale as a ghost, and said, "What are you doing out here?" We told, "Get off my lawn." No, he didn't say that. That's just me. We told him that our truck broke down, and he asked if we needed help, but we said, no, we had it taken care of. Then he said kindly, "Have a good night," and pulled away. Now here's where it gets weird. One of my friends said, "Hey, you can see our footprints in the stones, but how come there's no tire prints from the truck?" We all looked back and noticed the truck was long gone and that there was nowhere for it to turn off. We didn't say another word and just took off running for our truck. Now tell me, was that guy real or a ghost? I don't know. And it's
It's one of those stories. Remember that story you read about the people who went out to this house or out to this area and they saw this light coming. It was night and the light was coming down the hill and the guy yelled out to it and it came to him. And then the people that drove by in the truck, and then they got in a boat. Remember that story? and then they, as they were leaving, as they were coming back, the truck came back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like, what the hell's going on here?
And that's just the thing. So say that, for instance, this was a ghostly manifestation.
Right.
All right. Now, how many of us have actually probably had dialogue with spirits and didn't know it?
And didn't know, yeah.
Right. I mean, how many times have we just talked to some random stranger and just, shared pleasantries and, that person didn't exist and we would never know. But I'm willing to wager that it happens more than we think. Perhaps they can just appear and, be as real as anybody else. And of course, there's plenty of stories of people witnessing apparitions that are as real as you or I. They're just
Right.
there. So I don't know. It's a really cool thought.
It's one of those thoughts where you're like sitting on the bench in the park and a little old lady sits next to you, or a little old man, he's got breadcrumbs or whatever, and he's feeding the parrots or the pigeons, and then all of a sudden,
No, you said pigeons. Okay.
yeah, pigeons,
Landlubber.
So it's a brief exchange, hey, how are you, that kind of thing, and then off he goes, and somebody, who are you talking to? It'd be like, wow.
Oh, yeah. That'd be one of those like, what? What do you mean I was talking? Now, who was it? Oh, it was the first time I had Lucky on the show.
Oh.
She was talking about how she was, no, was it Lucky? It was somebody. I can't remember who it was now, but it was one of my interviews way back when. And the person was out in a courtyard near the school where they went to. They kind of went to this private school or something and was kind of a loner. And they would always go out to this one location at the school, just kind of by themselves. And they would end up seeing this older man there and have this wonderful conversations and dialogues. Mm-hmm. And then when they came back in after doing this for several days, finally some of the kids that did see her out there said, "Who were you talking to? What were you doing over there?" Well, I was talking with this old man. There was nobody else there except you. And that's one of those things like, wow. Now, how amazing is that experience?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I have had a few experiences in my life that I swear I've been talking in retrospect. I believe I was talking to some kind of spiritual manifestation, but at the time I didn't know it. And I may have shared some of those over the couple of years of doing this show. But again, I'm going to do bedtime stories and beyond about my own experiences, just so that they're all in one location. Because I think it's really cool to discuss these things and to share with you guys that I'm not just interested in this stuff. I have experienced many different things. And part of the reason that I'm so passionate about all of this is because I've experienced all these things. Because I'm just scratching my head going, wait a minute, what? How is that possible? So it kind of leads you on this journey. It leads you to question and search and try to figure out what the hell just happened, because what you thought just happened wasn't what really happened. So, I mean,
everybody else saw it.
It really bends your mind. But now, Don, you've been someone that's been searching for an experience in your life, and one that I'm definitely committed to giving you. I'm definitely committed to getting you a real paranormal experience.
Are you going to be my first?
You just can't help yourself, can you? You just can't help yourself.
I can't.
Oh, you vile human. Why are you so broken, Don?
Just like a Trent Reznor song.
Don's like, he leaves the house and his horns appear. Like, wait a minute, that was Satan? I thought it was Don. He's like, hey, I almost got him to cuss.
They're all demons.
Oh no, I'm just kidding. But you're definitely taunting me with these lines, and it just makes me want to. And I gotta use all kind of restraints here.
So you were talking about committed to achieving that first real
encounter.
Yeah.
So. I definitely want to make sure that I am there when you have your first encounter, or I'm in the neighborhood when you have your first encounter.
I think it'll probably be on video.
Well, yeah, well, exactly, and I hope so. I hope that all of you can be there when Don has his first encounter, because I think that'll be awesome, and it's probably going to put you in a really uncomfortable situation, like you in a location by yourself with a camera. But I'm serious. I really want to do this, but not in a horrible way, and not of course to cause problems. But I just definitely want you to experience that, so that you will have that. And
right.
I just think it changes you. It just changes you on a fundamental level.
I bet it does.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you're not opposed to that. And so
right.
I'm hoping we can accommodate that throughout the course of the Paranormal Portal in all the places that it's going. And there's so many things on the drawing board, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. It's just boggling my mind. I don't know.
There's so many things. It's hard to know which one to start with.
I know, that's just the problem. But anyway, a lot of exciting things coming up for the show, and it'll just be so much fun. I can't wait to unveil them all. But for right now, I'll just have to give you teasers. And sorry, Doc, I know you're loving that. Doc's like, oh, you jerk. But I just can't put them out there now, because they're in such a rudimentary phase that they're not even, there's not even a structure attached to them at this point.
They're just glimmers in our eye.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what they are. But this is, this portal is going to just explode in the coming months. And what we will be doing is hopefully going to keep you guys thoroughly entertained for a long time to come. So we'll see. Time will tell, but we'll sure try. All right, so this one I think sounds pretty good. So let's see what this one says. All right. I haven't been in... no, I'm not going to read that fluffy part. Okay, so it's... I live in New York, and I go to a traveling camp. We went in the beginning of summer to Williamsburg, Virginia. As some of you ghost hunters and experts know, that's where the scariest haunted house in America is. And yes, excuse me, I'm not speaking in tongues, it's just Coca-Cola. And yes, I stood outside in front of it. But even before my group went to the house, I spotted 2 little ghosts. Our tour guide was really dramatic, and so it sounded even scarier when he told us this story. We were walking down this old street in the little town. I'm gonna have to stick with.
You're gonna have to.
I'm gonna have to just
that,
stick with juice.
Juice.
Before the shows because.
I got some juice for you. I got it right here in this brown bottle.
Oh, that's swill. But all right. Our tour guide was really dramatic, so it sounded even scarier when he told us this story. We were walking down this old street in this little town with all these old-looking houses from about the American Revolutionary period. You got to be kidding me. I'm gonna have to not talk to my. All right. It was really dramatic. Anyway, our tour guide stopped in the middle of this road, and he goes, "Anybody hear anything?" And we all go, "No. Why?" He says, "Well, long time ago, there was this father who had a little boy about 6 years of age, and a slave also about the same age. The boy and the slave always had fun with each other. So one day, the father died from a horrible disease and was buried in a little graveyard. The boy died a year later from the same disease and was buried on top of the father. For some reason, they buried the slave boy when he died a year later on the little boy. So now, when you walk down the street, you can probably see 2 little boys, one African American and one American, holding hands and skipping. And they have red glowing eyes and are floating 2 inches above the ground."
Wow.
I was so freaked out, I hoped I wouldn't see them. I really prayed. But when we came back from the house and had to walk down the street again, I saw 2 little boys about 10 feet away from our group. One African American, one white, holding hands with red eyes and floating 2 inches above the ground. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even grab my cell phone and take a picture. I was so freaked out that when I closed my eyes and opened them, the boys were gone, and my friend tapped me on the shoulder. I jumped. That night, I couldn't sleep. We saw all these freaky things. And then he refers to another story where he'll share that. Okay. Anyway, so he saw them, apparently, but that was a little anticlimactic, but
Yeah, it was.
I don't know, a thing like that in a young child. So you're programming them with an expectation or a possibility, and then they end up seeing that very thing. How do you refer to that? Is that just a suggestive thing that they're going to manifest this out of fear, or is it an actual experience? And that's where the trouble comes, because the guide told them what they could expect, and then of course this person sees. Right. That very thing. Does that count? I mean, is it, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to cast aspersions at the author. I'm sure that they believe what they saw, and maybe perhaps it was an actual manifestation, but the fact that the tour guide just mentioned this, and then moments later the boy sees just this, to me that just seems like suggestibility.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like leading the witness, to come to that conclusion on their own.
Right.
Which really isn't on their own.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, I want you to make up your own mind, but this is what you might see. It's like, well, that's what they're probably going to see.
Yeah, exactly. And especially kids with open minds. You know, they're open to that suggestion, that suggestibility, that possibility,
Right.
It's just like dogs, dogs, cats, it's like they're open because they're open. We don't close up until we're told that there's no such thing as ghosts and goblins and, the things in the closet and the monster under the bed, So, I mean, see, they're really open to suggestion. That's why there's a lot of things you cannot do with kids. And that's tell them what to expect.
Right.
Like, you just can't.
Right.
So.
Very true. Very true. You got one you can read for a second?
Yeah.
By all means.
Let me pull up my notes again.
Well, that's why my nose is tickling. I found a little fuzzy on it.
Oh.
Left over from the beard.
Whoa.
When I wear the Halloween beard.
Yes. Say the Halloween beard.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
The Imperial Hotel, located in historic downtown Longmont. Is it haunted? George Zweck, a Prussian immigrant, began to build a hotel in downtown Longmont in 1880. The Zweck Hotel, located at 301 Main Street, was palatial, and when it opened in 1881, offered fancy amenities for the time. Longmont did not have a dedicated water supply in 1881, so he had the building's architect design 3 large brick cisterns that were filled manually by bringing water up from the nearby St. Vrain River. Vrain, maybe it's Vrain. The hotel's heating was provided by coal-fired stoves, and furnishings were some of the finest European imports. He came to the U.S. as a young man, loved the Colorado Territory. During the gold rush of 1859, he settled in a farm west of Longmont and began mining. Along with the hotel, he had other local business interests, cattle ranching, farming, hospitality. Unfortunately, his luck in these endeavors ran out, and the Zweck Hotel never recouped its building costs. He lost $90,000 worth of cattle in a blizzard, and a gold mine became sparse. His wife, struggling to keep the family's homestead viable by selling goods and produce, which helped the family survive, it was reluctantly sold in 1894 to Mr. and Mrs. Charles F. Allen. I almost read it as alien. The Allens immediately changed the name of the hotel to the Imperial Hotel. Their family finally made the hotel a profitable investment, and they managed the property for the next 50 years. It changed hands a few more times and finally shuttered its doors as a lodging property in 1971. I was born in 71. Today, the building serves mainly as residential apartments, but the main floor, a Chinese restaurant, and Java Coffee are open, and a bar and lounge occupy the basement level. How dare they move into my particular...
That's your zone.
Yes. Residents have reported hauntings in the Imperial for years. In particular, the feeling of a presence and the voice of a little girl have been heard on the second floor of the residence. And numerous sightings have appeared in the coffee shop. There was a psychic medium that visited and reported on these. During the investigation, the second floor of the residence, the medium saw a pair of twin beds, and the body of a young dead girl was lying in one of the beds. A second young girl was next to the bed crying. In order to amplify her senses and mitigate the extrasensory input, the medium placed a blindfold over her eyes. When she did that, a third girl and a spirit of a man entering the room through a doorway that's currently not there appeared. The medium concluded the man was a would-be burglar who would be confronted by the third young girl when he entered the room. He fled down the fire escape when she said something to him. The spirit of the man fled when the medium said something to him. The investigators and the medium performed a thorough examination of the room, finding an old doorway where the man had entered, covered by sheetrock. Once outside, they saw where the door would have been connected to a fire escape on the ground floor. The coffee shop, which according to the previous owners, is haunted by a few ghosts. According to the owners, an officer of a Civil War era wearing a Confederate uniform has been seen many times in and around the shop, but the reason for his visits are unknown. The spirit of the young girl, who has never been seen, has spoken to patrons. And one server who frequently opened the shop in the morning by herself saw the spirit of a man leafing through the shop's magazine and newspaper collection on 3 separate occasions. He disappeared into thin air when he was spotted. We're not sure about ghosts, but we can confirm the coffee shop will serve up a great latte. That's nice. The Imperial Hotel is a beautiful 3-story Italianate style building placed on the Longmont Historic Landmark listing in 1977. It's definitely worth visiting. you may be visited by more spirited residents. So there you go. The Imperial. Wow. So the medium went in there and saw 2 twin beds, saw the little girl, the dead little girl. She, what did she do? During the investigation, and the second little girl was next to the bed crying. And then when she blindfolded herself, a third girl came in and with the burglar. So weird.
So it actually came to fruition?
Yeah, apparently that's what happened is there was a would-be burglar in the house, and the third little girl chased him off. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to have a haunting, if you're going to have a presence there, they might as well do something constructive other than just stare at walls or watch you, cook. It's like, do something constructive. We'll look out after the place.
Yeah.
If someone creepy is around there, I really believe that spirits are like, completely telepathic. So they know just upon, someone coming towards your area, whether that person is a good person or not. Right. They know. They can hear the thoughts. They know what that's going on in that person's mind. So if someone's a garbage person that's going to hurt you or cause harm or take advantage of you, then they should come out and make sure that doesn't happen. They should spook them off. I mean, that would just be the right thing to do. I know I will. If I'm a ghost and I'm stuck around, I'm gonna be like a superhero kind of ghost.
Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Get out!
Yeah, get out!
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be like throwing couches and stuff.
Getting EVPs for Brent.
They'll sound a lot like Homer Simpson, though. You'll know it's me when it sounds like this. What?
And I heard it in my head, and then you went and did it.
Well, there you go. Don's actually psychic. He doesn't know that, but he is.
Yeah.
He is. I know you are.
I know you said sidekick.
Oh, you're my sidekick as well, but you're psychic. You're a psychic sidekick. I know you've got abilities, buddy.
Psycho.
As reluctant as you are to believe that.
Maybe that's why I drink so much.
Stop the voices. Don's hitting the sauce just to kill the voices. Oh, dear Lord. It's all on the table here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. All right, what do I got next? Let's see. Want to hear it? Here it go.
Yeah, say something. Say something funny.
Right, I'll try to. I'm trying to be funny.
Super Brent. Yes, thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I do have the shirts. I just need the body now.
Oh, God.
I'm working on the body, but I got the shirts.
He doesn't look good in spandex at this time.
Not currently, no. I have no business with anything form-fitting at this point. Need lots of extra fabric to make this work.
Oh, gracious.
I need draping stuff. Not ready for spandex quite yet. I'm working on it, though. All right, so here we go. Now, this one is Jack the Ripper. See, now the Jack the Ripper thing to me is a tough one. And I know that this person allegedly did horrible things. And granted, if there's ever an act that could create hauntings, that would be one of the acts that would create a haunting just because of the nightmarish garbage this person did. The thing is what's not seeming very clear. Was this a person or was it a few people? What was, you know what I mean? There's so many mysteries around this whole Jack the Ripper thing that, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it, but I guess, I don't know. I would think that if this was a person and it was a person, and even if it was several people, that if there's a hell.
What if it was a ghost?
What if it was, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be even creepier. Way to give it the spin there, Don. When I was visiting my friend in London, we decided to go on a Jack the Ripper tour. So the next morning, we decided to go take the tour. We signed up, and we decided to go at about 11 p.m. And at the end, some people who were on the tour were walking about the restricted area. So my friend and I thought, well, let's wait till everyone leaves, and we'll just go into the restricted area. Finally, after everyone leaves and was gone, we went into the restricted area and we took a few pictures by the fireplace and we left. A couple of days later, I flew home, and after about a week, I got the pictures developed, and I looked and saw a figure of a man standing by the fireplace, and it was said that the room was haunted by Jack the Ripper's ghost. So I go to my house and showed my fiance, and then we went to our friend's house and showed him the pictures, but when we showed him, the phone rang like it did in London. Huh? The phone rang like it did in London? I don't know how that ties in.
The ringer. You know how the ringers are different in London?
Oh, right.
The phone rang.
Okay.
Their phone in the U.S. rang like a British phone.
So he thought that was weird, and he picked up the phone, and there was a lady with a British accent. But she said that he called her. My fiance and I left. Then the next night, our television kept turning on. But the weird thing is, it would turn on to show us about the tour. All of these weird things kept happening until finally my fiance said we had to burn these pictures. So we did, and all of these weird things stopped.
Wow.
Now that's curious. That's very curious.
That's an attachment.
did he capture something he
Wow.
wasn't supposed to on his photos? I don't know. But
Crazy.
so was that the reason the ghost was haunting them, to get rid of the evidence? So apparently, even in death, the Ripper does not want to be named. Just saying.
Oh, but you know what?
What?
If they had the pictures developed, that means they still have the negatives.
Perhaps, unless they burned those
Well,
too.
they didn't say that. They said that.
But they didn't.
They were
not say
they were ambiguous about that.
Yeah, they just said burn the pictures. So it's possible. Let me see. I'm looking for one that has actually to do not about a ghost tour. I'm looking for another one that has to do with
See?
what?
She says, just promise me this. If Don kills me and processes me as basement meat, will you keep one of my feet as a paranormal portal background prop?
Oh my God. You know we will, Pix.
I don't know. How big is it?
Yeah.
Will it show up on camera over here?
How big are pixie feet anyway?
I don't know. Maybe this big. Oh!
Don's at it again, ladies and gentlemen. The studio barely survived without him. Now that he's here, we don't even stand a chance.
I will put this back very gently.
Well, thank you. All right. And Don's playing with toys. All right. All right. So let me see. This one is an actual hotel one, which actually plays to the topic of tonight's show.
Well, you did say tours as well. So.
Well, I didn't really on the promo, but I guess I am. We've kind of gotten into a few tours, and several of them, as a matter of fact. But all right, this one is the, I don't know how to say this. Is this Ione or Lone?
I believe it's I-O. I-O.
I-O-N-E?
So it's Ione, yeah.
Ione? Excuse me. Sorry about that. Let's see. I ran into an advertisement online about spending a night in Preston Castle in Ione, a boys' reformatory prison of the days past near Sacramento. Tuesday night, August 16th, was not only open, it was a full moon. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and my David, the original skeptic, wants to go. Add a booking into the haunted Ione hotel on Friday night, and I'm wondering if I can wait almost 2 months. August 15th finally rolls around, and I'm packed and ready to go. Actually, I've been packed since Wednesday. This is really written weird, but it's Julie D. is heading out with us, a British nurse, a good old common sense person. We're cheerfully checked into the rooms 13 and 7, perfect numbers, eh? We joke about the extra fees for entertainment, be it the drunks in the bar or the ghost in the rooms. The hotel is truly rich in history and polished wood. The staircase is right out of a Hitchcock movie, and ancient secrets float quietly from the transoms that line the long, dark hallways. This is written like a book. It was a dark, dreary night. Listen to my children, and you shall hear. Okay, back to the rooms. Our room 13 is reportedly one of the most active. And David is making final room arrangements, and I go up to the room, stand in front of the room, mentally saying hello, and I put my palm out within the door frame, close but not touching the door. Energy, almost static, electricity. We open the door. I take a deep breath and I walk in. It's a tiny room, clean, nice and neat, but the air seems heavy, really uncomfortable, and my chest is tight. In my room, I'm prepared to join Julie and go looking around, and the room door is open and my hand with the drink is in the doorway, and as I turn to talk to David, relaxing reading his book, Julie tugs a gently "come on" my hand in the doorway. I am listening to David as it dawns on me that he is not looking past me as he would had Julie walked up behind me. I turn to the hallway. No Julie. Cool. I found her unpacking in her room, so she thought it was her friend pulling her arm, but it wasn't. So Julie, I don't know, this is really written bizarre. I don't understand what the author's doing here, but it's a long.
Oh my gosh, yeah, pretty good.
All right, so this might be the last thing we read tonight. Julie retires as I spot two of Iona's finest in the lobby chatting up the barkeep. So I asked for a minute, inquired as to any activity in either the castle or the hotel, and got a great story. Officer Jerry Arnold was recently in the basement with several other people when they distinctly heard, "Help me." He immediately searched for the person calling, but to no avail. He found no explanation for the voice and will admit he's not as devoted a skeptic as he was before that day. On the cooling back veranda, I take a quiet moment to absorb the spirit of the hotel. Normal night, very calm, soothing. Sounds are interrupted only after a few minutes by a brightening of the entire hotel. Really difficult to describe. It wasn't an actual light. It was more like a smile, a brightening. I sat for a minute or two trying to place the aura into words, and I had an idea and walked back to the room. Clock read 12:03, and I laughed, the haunting hour. After a heavy, long, and relaxing sleep, cup of coffee in hand, I leave our room quietly with the noisy door closed, but not latched to keep from waking David. The hotel is really still and silent, and I'm on the windless back veranda to await the wakenings of my partners in crime. The veranda door is also left unlatched from a small fear of being locked out and having to appear at the hotel front door in skimpy clothing at this hour. Been there, done that. The veranda door opens fully. I look over, and it closes. I get up and approach the door and ask, "What's up?" Nothing. I hear nothing. I head back to my table and coffee. Might as well get another cup since I'm up, and going through the door is like walking past somebody, intentionally ignoring you. Our room is wide open, and there's David on the bed, fast asleep. The bedroom window is open, and if there had been a breeze, it would have only have served to shut the door, not open. A fresh cup, and back outside to sit, leaving both doors unlatched again. The veranda door cracks and opens a few inches. I look back, and it freezes. I'm reminded of a sneaky, playful child who stops their bad behavior once you pay attention to him. David has got to see this. Back in the room, and our room is wide open again. There is David, sound asleep. I laugh and decide to wait it out on the veranda. David wakes and joins me. He laughs and says the activity stopped since he was there. We consume most of the coffee, and I wander down to Julie's room to gently tap on the door. A groggy reply. Julie is barely awake. I sit on the bed while she tells me of the events of her night. At 5 a.m, she's awakened by a band practicing in the saloon. Distinct trumpet. Getting dressed, she leaves the room, peers down the stairs to see a man in a tank top sitting in the lobby. "Do they always do this at this hour?" she asks, and he replies, "They will be wrapping it up soon." Julie returns to her room, back to bed, and thankfully they stop playing and focuses on returning to sleep. 7 o'clock, music blares out again, a song she knows but likes, but not at this hour. Julie again dresses, but there is no one in the lobby. She pounds on the locked saloon doors, windows, and even stomps on the floor of her room to no avail. Suddenly, at the end of the song, the music stops. Tired and headachy, she returns to sleep again. Now it's morning, standing on top landing. We talk to the clerk on duty, Jennifer, who's sweeping the stairs. The manager appears down in the lobby, apologizes repeatedly to Julie, and assures her he will talk to the saloon manager. He insists there was no band in the saloon,
Ooh.
but Julie is clear about what she heard. Julie describes the man in the lobby at 5 o'clock, but Jennifer, who knows all the locals, is confused. I remember how the veranda doors were all locked up tight this morning as I went out for my coffee. Julie walks to her room, and as I remain at the top of the stairs, to hear the manager whisper under his breath, "Here we go again." We check into the haunted room, but Julie gets the haunting. Before we left, I had a chance to talk to Jennifer again, who had several interesting hair-raising stories to share. She is truly confused about who Julie could have seen. Jennifer was on duty all night in her room quite close to Julie's and never heard a sound. When I asked about door problems, she assured me room 13 is famous for doors opening and closing. This is a shortened version of our weekend. For the full story, blah, 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 go to my site. Nice lead in. But it's well written. It's really well written. I do have to say that. And really cool events.
Yeah.
Very, very wild, but very cool. And there you have it. At least we closed with a haunting hotel.
Nice.
I think that'd be really cool. And again, she apparently addressed someone that wasn't actually there.
Right.
She had a conversation with someone who wasn't there. And to me, that is the most incredibly profound thing, because that is literally not only looking beyond the veil, so to speak, but it's experiencing that in real life and not being able to differentiate it. Not to be able to differentiate a spiritual being from a living person.
Right.
Is to me and so incredibly profound. I don't know. That to me is just amazing. So,
you would wonder if you would pick up some kind of empathic, resonation from them, or
right,
or maybe from a living person an empathic resonation, or maybe not from a ghost or an apparition, whatever you want to call it, a spirit. So, and if you're paying attention to those kinds of things, I imagine if you live with those kind of things all the time, the empathic, abilities, you would pick up on something like that, but may not, be paying attention to them,
It's true, and it's a tough one to say. I don't know. Would there be any difference for empathy, because it's still an emotional presence?
Right.
A spirit is still an emotional, energetic presence, as is a living person. I don't know. It's a very good question. How would it feel?
Yeah.
And for as many people as have had these encounters with spirits that they didn't know were spirits, apparently they couldn't tell any difference until some kind of circumstances made them realize, wait a minute, that's not right. Very bizarre.
Supposed to happen.
Right. And, and that she had a dialogue and said,
Right.
really at this hour, and, they're going to be wrapping up soon.
Well,
So
they weren't actually there.
Yeah, well, they, or were they? Or was she actually in their area?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Had
Did
she gone
cross the barrier?
Right.
Yeah.
Did she cross that veil and was in the wrong spot?
Well, if she was asleep, maybe she was lulled into something and waked up in that particular paradigm or dimension. Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a possibility, ladies and gentlemen, but it's all on the table here on the portal. But I hope you guys have enjoyed our ride tonight, our journey, our 2-hour long normal episode, and it feels really fun to do a full length version now after so many of the shortened ones. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it and had a good time, and I certainly thank you all for being here. It's just been an amazing journey to watch all this grow and to become what it's becoming. But I'm really thrilled you're here tonight too, Don.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm thrilled. I'm always thrilled to be here. I bring Brent a soda every now and then. He goes, "Oh, what do I owe you?" I said, "My seat." Thanks for letting me sit here.
He's paying the rent, ladies and gentlemen.
Got to pay to be in this seat.
No, we're all members of the family, and you guys out there as well. You guys are making this amazing and cool, and please spread the word, share it. If any of you are on Twitter, I'm stuck at 36 followers, so I don't know. But you can find me on Twitter. It's at Paranormal Portal, Portl, and I hope you will follow me there. I don't know. I'm not a huge Twitter person, but I'm trying. I'm trying to spread the wings on the social media. So And maybe if you guys tweet, I'll, learn a little more about it. So I don't know. I'm just writing stupid stuff or just putting show promos out there. But anyway.
Oh, goodness.
I just can only say I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, yeah.
We hope you have a
definitely.
marvelous holiday. Be close to the ones you love, and thanks for being close to us and allowing us to be among those you love. It's just,
Oh, wow.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal, and
We love you so much.
I don't know about tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to toy with the idea, but I'm not making any promises. But maybe I'll come on and do a quick bedtime stories from beyond. I'm not sure. So.
Quick for him. The first night he did it, he goes, "Oh, I only meant to be like on for like 10 minutes."
I know. I was thinking
You were
10
20,
minutes.
You were 22 minutes, almost 25 minutes.
And the next night I wanted to be quicker.
You were like
and
39.
I was 30 minutes the next night. It's like, oh, I just can't do it and do it like in and out like some people. I don't know.
He's not a,
I just got too much to say, or I don't know when to shut up. One of the two. But thank you all, and we will see you. If not tomorrow night, then we'll definitely be here on Friday night. And Deb will be joining me, and we'll be doing live readings for callers to the show. So take a look at the screen now. You see that number? Write it down. Again, it'll be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So definitely call in early and hold the line because, the phone lines fill up and the readings take as long as they take, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to tell Deb, you're going to do this many readings per hour. However long it takes is however long it takes. But we're going to make every effort to get to every one of you that call in.
Right.
And if not, we'll make arrangements to make sure that you have a chance to talk with Deb somehow.
so remember, call early and hold the line.
And as a side note, if you're interested in having a reading with Deb, but you don't want to do it publicly, she does private readings, and she's the most reasonably priced, amazing psychic you're ever going to have an opportunity to talk to. So check her out on Facebook. It's Purple Mystic Readings by Deb, and that's the group. So look for Purple Mystic Readings by Deb, or you can email her to make contact and to schedule her private reading, and that would be purplemysticreader@gmail.com. So
Wow, you got that memorized.
I do.
Good.
I've got. I can be taught. I'm an old dog, but I can learn some new tricks.
I knew a new trick. Sit on the porch.
Yeah, exactly.
Quit trying to run after the cars.
Yeah.
Oh, my back.
All right, guys. So I hope you guys have a great holiday, and we will see you at least on Friday night, but maybe tomorrow night. And if I do come on tomorrow night, it might be a little later, but I'm trying to make the 7 p.m. start time for all the portals. But
Right.
I think if I do tomorrow night, it's going to be maybe later than that. So I don't know.
After he wakes up from his turkey coma.
Well, as soon as the tryptophan makes it out of my system. So it might be 1 a.m. I don't know. But we'll talk to you then, guys. Take care. Love you all. And we'll see you soon.
See ya. Love you. Bye.
See ya. See ya. Love you. Mean it. Love you. Mean it. I just think that's funny.
Oh, boy.